It is 5 o'clock. It is time for us to start the August 28th regular scheduled meeting of the Perry Community School Board. I'd like to call it to order. If you can all stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I would like to go to item 1.3, roll call, so we can confirm our quorum.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Michael Wood, Michael Suggs. Dr. Edith Johnson Woods. Present. I am present. Dr. McLeod.
Present.
All right, and Mr. Johnson. Present. All right, all board members are present. We have quorum.
We are now conducting an official meeting. Let's move on to item 2, the approval of the agenda for today's meeting. I will entertain a motion.
So,
This is a motion, of course, there's a second.
Second.
Any discussion on that motion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor say aye.
aye.
Any opposed? The agenda has been passed. Let's move on to item number 3. Gary ready snapshots. I'd like to yield the floor to Mrs. Chelsea.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Stokes, and community members both in person and virtually. It is always a pleasure to give snapshots of things that are happening across the district, and today is no different. Today I'd like to share with you WOW. WOW stands for Williams on Wheels. It's a newly formed club of students and teachers and parents and staff members who have so decided to ride their bikes to school. It started on the first day of school, as you can see, on Wednesday, August 14th, and our principal, Ms. Linda Golson, who is in this video and also here today, Ms. Scott, the creator of the club. You all wave your hands. They see this as an additional way to engage students about being excited about learning, getting up early, and also getting their exercise to get their minds right for teaching and learning. In the bottom right corner, you will see that they made the front page, and that was just one. They actually made 3 front pages with that story, which also is very, very powerful. And if you're interested in learning more about the WOW program, you certainly can speak with Ms. Golson or visit their Facebook page or our website, garyschools.org. I do just want to add a note to that. I did attend the kickoff on August 14th, and in that crowd was our late security guard, Clarence Trimester. He too was on his motorcycle, and so up to the very last time I saw him, he was engaged with the children far above and beyond what his normal duties are, and he rests in peace. And last but not least, we'd like to just remind you that our athletic season is in full swing. There are plenty of opportunities for you to support our young people. All of the different schedules for the various athletic activities are on the website. Volleyball games, and we are kicking off our football season this Friday night at Gary Westside against East Chicago Central. So let's crush them. Thank you all for this opportunity.
Thank you. Appreciate that presentation. I'm going to take just a moment here while I have the mic and ask you all to help me support in remembering Mr. Royster, if we can have a moment of silence. participation. I'd like to move on to item number 4, public comments. I believe I have a sheet here in front of me. I'm going to ask Vice President Johnson to recite the process for the community so that we are all aware of the expectations.
The Gary Community School Board of Trustees welcomes comments from the community. As a result, the agenda for each regular meeting provides time for public expression. The period of expression is limited to 3 minutes per individual, 30 minutes total discussion of items on the agenda or to express concerns relative to the operation of the school, city, school board actions, and other items of general educational interest. If there are many people wishing to address the board, we may limit the amount of time a person may speak. Comments should be directed to the board and to individual board members. Statements should not be used or argumentative. Persons making comments should not make statements with other persons. It should not be permissible to order, present, and discuss complaints against individual employees of the Gary Community School Corporation at any board or school trustees meetings. Issues relating to personnel, individual circumstances of an individual school will be referred to the principal on appropriate administrator and attempt to resolve the issue prior to an appeal before the board. Speaker cannot transfer remaining time to another person. The board president will enforce these rules and may take actions necessary to maintain order at the meeting. Such actions may include, but not limited to, interrupting the speaker's statements to lengthy, unduly repetitive, or otherwise violates the rules. The president may terminate the address of any speaker who violates these rules and limit the total amount of time allotted to public comments if there is a large number of people wishing to address the board or if there is a large number of other business before the board.
Thank you, Trustee Johnson. I would just like to kind of put on notice the community that starting next board meeting with the sign-up sheet, we will have a area where you can denote what part of the agenda that you're going to be speaking to or about, so that we can be consistent with that policy that's just recited to you. At this point, I'd like to open the floor to Ms. Starling, I believe.
Good afternoon, board and superintendent. We have hired a very diverse group of new employees for the Gary Community School Corporation, and I was just wondering, have you provided some type of sensitivity training or something, because many of your new employees come from a background that is much different than the Gary Community School Corporation is accustomed to. So, as they greet the public and as they interact with the youth and the employees and the citizens of Gary, I just wanted to know if something is put in place to help them to understand the culture that we have, because in the past we had a different type of culture, and we need to work together to make everything work. And so that's my comment, and thank you, God bless you, and I hope you do well.
Mrs. McCray.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, board members and superintendent. I don't even know where to start this, because when I began to research the topic of cell towers near schools and in communities, the amount of research that has been done is just voluminous. So I am going to give you just a smidgen of what I found online for your reference. And I just couldn't, there's no way I could summarize all of this. But just let me start by saying that the research that I'm going to leave with you was done by a group called the Environmental Trust. And they are a global science research corporation. And they do research on a lot of environmental issues having to do with toxic emissions all around the world. And so, like I said, there's just so much there. But just let me give you a highlight here. So, in regard to cell towers, it says here that they emit a type of radiation. Cell towers have wireless antennas that emit radio frequency, non-ionizing radiation. When these antennas are close to our homes and schools, our daily exposure to this radiation is increased. This radiation is considered a new form of environmental pollution. Effects from this kind of radiation documented in scientific research include increased cancer risk, cellular stress, headache, sleep issues, genetic damage, changes to the reproductive system, memory deficits, and impact to the nervous system. Children are more vulnerable. Children are more vulnerable to this as they absorb deeper into their brains and bodies. And I see my time is almost up, and so, but I'll read you this final excerpt. Scientists recommend children's exposure to this type of radiation be reduced. So, I'm going to hand out basically what I just read and more for all of you to look at as you make your deliberations about these cell towers that they want to place on 2 schools. My recommendation would be, we've got a lot of empty schools. We've got a lot of land in the city that is not surrounded by neighborhoods and children. And it seems to me that if these cell towers are going to go up, that they should not be in an area where children will be ultimately negatively affected. Thank you.
Mrs. Coleman?
Good afternoon, Dr. Stokes, President Suggs, and the board. I too stand against using cell towers at our school, and to also expand on some of the studies. It says even if the radiation absorption was the same as in adults, the effects in children can be far more serious. A child's developing brain and organ systems are more sensitive to environmental stressors. We know that in Gary we have high asthma rates, high cancer rates, and our children face a lot of environmental stressors. So I'm going to ask this board not to allow a cell tower, not to add another environmental stressor, but to protect these young minds, developing brains that are entrusted into our care. And as they say, all money isn't good money. So to put our children's health at risk for a cell tower, that definitely isn't good money. But I do want to talk about something that this board can support, which is a field house. And I'm very concerned that one of our schools had to close because of air conditioning. When MGT was here, they had over $100 million. And for us to now be in a position where, as you see in August 2018, do have accepted a facilities master plan, which included a field house for our children. Now, if it's something positive for our children, it's hard for us to get it done. But if people want to make then people have a problem. So what I would ask the board to do, instead of looking at people who want to once again make a profit over our children, let's get our legislative agenda together. Because we know the turnaround academics is not a Monday through Friday job. Our children need a facility that they can go to 6 days a week. We need to certify who can count, who can read. We have to get into the basics. And I call this the West Side because it's not just a beautiful campus, it's a campus that's within walking distance of a nature preserve. We think of the 1972 political convention where so many African Americans and people of color were propelled to high offices. We have to remember this is the generation, they don't have affirmative action, they don't have quotas, they don't have anything in this American system to be sympathetic for them not reading, not writing, not going to school. So that's why I would ask you to not the cell tower, but instead let's get our legislative agenda together to look out for our babies and our children to help them succeed. Thank you.
Mrs. Tyndall.
Good evening to all who are here. Thank you for your presence. A special hello to our board and our superintendent and our president of our board. I have a concern. There are 21 summer program sites, but only one report that I was provided. And I'd like to know if and when the additional 20 reports will be available to us. And to find out where our board thought of those facilities and their accomplishments. I want to personally thank our Superintendent Stokes, for providing a financial document as she said she would. We are not used to our requests being honored so readily. So thank you very much. Also, thank you for these 2 additional screens being available to our audience today so that we can see the reports on the screens wherever we are in this meeting room. We thank you for them accommodating the audience. My question to you today, where do we stand regarding construction of our field house, our WSLA's swimming pool, the repair of our swimming pool? Where do we stand regarding the Westside Leadership Academy roof replacement? Please consider establishing voter training, voter registration, candidate education 101, all here at the Westside Leadership Academy. And establish Early Career Center and Westside Leadership Academy as polling sites. God bless each of us to do and be the best vessels for our students and our school system. Thank you.
Dr. Spanglenberg.
He's not present.
Mr. Buzz.
Good afternoon, Superintendent Stokes, Board, and the public. At the latest board meeting, I asked the board to give me the internet code in reference to what was read as to the text of it, as what they were saying. He said he permitted, I had to submit a, what do you call it, request information, but all I wanted was the internet code. I don't have that, so I can't do it. But anyway, I want to get into today because I did some research. I'm going to talk about the heat, but I did some research on the cell towers. Now, my research indicates that the part that damages the public is what they call ionizing frequencies, which are normally from like an X-ray, gamma rays. 5G only means fifth generation cell phones. So I just want to spill a lot of the myths that may be going on. Now, some people will get sick if they are early, just like somebody had a picture extended because of microwave oven or laser or your cell phone. That's the same radio frequencies that is not dangerous. Only ionizing is dangerous. Also, my research indicates that these cell towers can be put on top of buildings, they can be freestanding, and when they have been put according to where people sell their homes, it increases the value of the house. I'm not saying this for or against, I'm just letting the public know what the actual facts are. Because a lot of people saying, I don't know, there's a lot of myths going on that it's going to be damaged this child, that child. But the research that I have, and you all welcome to see it, said that it's low frequency, RF radio frequency, which is very low. Just like being next to a bonfire. The closer you to it, the more heat it's going to get. All the way from it. Because that's dangerous it is. Now, they recommend about a half mile, 1,500 feet away from the tower. So that's the same distance. I don't know what that would be like. But anyway, I just want to let the public know that some of the things that you may be afraid of, that it's not a big alarm.
Mr. Willis, out of respect for your time, just hold for a minute and let them get your mic back up. We will allow you to regain your time.
Okay, thanks so much. So the bottom line is, if you have a cell phone, thank you. If you have a cell phone, you get more danger from the cell phone by having it in the bed with you, or next to you in the bed. A cell phone, what happens, the damage happens when the ionizing effect, when I was talking about those damage like X-rays, it heats up the cell and it can affect the DNA. That's why it's called ionizing. That's why X-rays is put on the lead stuff. Ironically, a lot of people had war back in World War II. That's why they had a lot of dead paint in their houses. Then they come to remove their paint because children needed to be chipped. But the dead paint kept out dangerous radioactive materials. So I just want to let everybody know that it's not as dangerous as it said. We just want to put it on myself to go and research and find out what it would be dangerous to the community, to children. If some people are peaceful, they have medical conditions that never affect them. But otherwise, the reports that I have, and anybody who can see it, it's not dangerous. Thank you.
Linda Hollis.
Good evening, board, and everyone in attendance today. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for the opportunity afforded me to speak today. I've been out of this for a minute, but I'm back by the grace of God. First of all, I'm wearing my favorite shirt that says, focus on the positive. And all that I do, I seek guidance. I ask for the words to say and how to say them. Focus on the good. It's a phrase that refers to the practice of positive thinking or an optimistic attitude. It needs to focus on good things and not negative. We all have opinions and we must agree, as I said before, it's okay to disagree.
but let's do it respectfully and in good taste. I said we're going today because I was recently appointed to the library board. And I will say this as kindly as I can, not to be misunderstood. This recent library board meeting, I was tempted to walk away and turn in a letter of resignation because things were so totally out of control. We all, the public, everyone in attendance, everyone, all our children, we deserve respect. And we deserve to be treated like the human beings that we are by professional people, by adults. So I just encourage everyone, and I don't see any children here today, but let's show respect one to another. You know, it goes a long way. Again, I'm here to serve in any capacity that I can. Anyone that has any children and need help or to read to the classroom, I'm free to do that. I make myself available. So with that being said, and lastly, I want to say this. Long after my children were out of school, my grandchildren were out, I volunteered at schools. I was a crossing guard before going to work. I did out of the love that I have for children. So I encourage everyone, let's be mindful of the way that we conduct business and the way we conduct ourselves. Thank you so very kindly. I appreciate each and every one of you.
At this time, I just want to share with the group, as was shared from Trustee Johnson earlier, we set aside 30 minutes for public comments. I had a gentleman that showed up here that was late that did not sign up, and I didn't give him the opportunity to sign because I didn't know about where we were with those 30 minutes. We have about 6 minutes left, sir, so if you want to come up and share, I will look forward to that opportunity.
Good evening, my name is Ron Coleman, community servant. I would be quick. I would like you all to implement a program to get all the people, the students that will be 18 and eligible to vote. I would like for you to have a program to help them sign up to vote before their time comes. Also, I stood before you all, telling you all that MGT was setting you up for failure. I would like to know if you all can, and when I say you all, no disrespect, I would like to know school board and new superintendent, if you may sue MGT and all these other companies that claim that they were supposed to fix the heat, air conditioner, the roof, the swimming pool, everything else. It also was allocated in the records that they were supposed to fix the field house. Sue them. Why do you all have to take that on your hands? Sue them for the money and have them repair the field and stuff. Am I right here? Okay. And also, there's more than just one radio station in this area. I do not work for any radio station. I see each other high. But there's more than one. I think that someone should call the radio stations, both of them, or all three of them. Call them and let us know when there's an emergency at the schools or anything. Let us know. We just want to know. We want y'all to be transparent. That's all we ask for. And then you can also send, because everyone not Facebook, everyone is not computers, send it home in the backpack to the children. Need to say maybe 40% of the letters to get to the parents, but still, send it home that way. I'm here as a community representative to ask for your help. We have several attorneys that's here there. Please, if it's possible, sue. They broke the contract. Thank you very much. Be blessed, everybody.
I just want to thank the board for giving me a chance to say something. My name's Morgan, I live in Erie, and I'd just like to speak briefly on the issue of cell towers on these active schools. I'm very much against this. My wife started a petition a few days ago, and over 109 households in our area have already signed a petition. I'd like to speak to something that Mr. Bug said. I'm sorry if I misheard your last name, but I'd like to speak to a couple of things you said, which the idea that not everyone's affected by this type of radiation, but that some people with medical conditions and people that are sensitive are. If there are students at these schools who turn out to be sensitive to this type of radiation and they don't know until the towers are already installed at their school, well, they're a captive audience. I mean, even if it was at a playground, which I wouldn't recommend either, if the kid's affected by it, at least they can get up and leave. They can't leave. If they have chronic headaches or insomnia or inflammation or whatever kind of problem, they're basically stuck with it at their school. And yeah, I think that was basically the only thing I wanted to say. So thank you for giving me a chance to speak. And that's all I care.
Move on to item 5 on our agenda, Senate agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the items under number 5, consent agenda, 5.1 through 5.6.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'd like to move on to item 6 on our agenda. Item 6.1, I'd like to give the floor to Dr. Stokes.
Thank you so much, President. So 6.1 deals with the second reading of the Erie County School Board bylaws. If you recall, at our last board meeting, we talked about the bylaws, which in turn are 0000. So if you can pull those up on the screen, please. There are several bylaws that we present. The board had all of this information. I will tell you that there are a total of 56. And I shared with the board that we are essentially, as we come out of takeover, building the plane at the same time while we're flying it. We have to have policies. The policies then will have administrative guidelines, and this helps our staff, our students, and our greater community understand how we operate. With that being said, I want to give the opportunity again for board members to look at any of the particular topics that are given to you regarding the bylaws. And if you have any questions, I'm open for you to answer. And if not, then feel free to make your vote.
Thank you, Dr. Stokes. I'd like to open the floor to any board members that have questions on these specific areas in regards to the bylaws. Hearing that, I will entertain the motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion, can we do a roll call for approval?
We can, Mr. Michael Suggs.
Thank you.
Dr.
Yes.
Willis.
Yes.
I say yes. Dr. McLeod.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
There's been 5 yeses and nominations.
With the vote of 5 in agreement and no votes against, the motion carries. Let's move on to item number 6 on our agenda. 6.2, excuse me.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the donation for the
discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, maybe we have, roll call for approval, please.
Mr. Suggs?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson Woods?
Yes.
Dr. McLeod?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
I say yes. Vote 5-0.
I'd like to move on to item number 6.3.
Mr. Chairman, it's my understanding that we're gonna have someone speak to this item. Councilman Allen, I know he's not here, so, Commissioner, thank you.
Yes, he's not going to be able to attend today. We can go ahead and accept it, and at our next meeting, he will give him an opportunity to make a presentation to the board, if that's okay.
I so make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Then move to second, any discussion on this motion? Roll call.
I just have.
Yes, sir.
Just wanted to reflect that this is from the county commissioners, this is not council.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call, please, sir.
Mr. Suggs?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson Woods?
Yes.
Dr. McLeod?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
And I say yes, vote 5-0.
For the vote of 5 in favor, 0 against. Motion to approve the donation from Lake County Council has been approved. We thank the council for this, and as we shared, as I shared just a moment ago, we will give them an opportunity for a chance to present that check at our next meeting.
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
Just want to make sure it's Lake County Commissioners.
Yes, thank you for the clarification. Make sure we know that in minutes, please. Let's move on to item 6.4 on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I might suggest, unless you don't think it's appropriate, that we approve item 6.4 through 6.6. One is stipends for the athletics department workers. The next one is the donation by the Boeing Company, and the last one is a donation given by Wilson.
Would you clarify your motions with the time I was moving pages?
That, we move to approve the last three items in that section, 5.4 through 5.6.
This is a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Then move to second. Any discussion on these motions, on these items? Roll call for approval, 6.4 through 6.6.
Mr. Suggs?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson Woods?
Yes.
Dr. McLeod?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
I say yes, vote 5-0.
Thank you. I would like to move further on to our agenda, item number 7, information items. And I'd like to ask for Mr. White to take the mic and share with us.
Good evening, members of the County School Board of Trustees, Superintendent Dr. Stokes, and Gary Kennedy. Before I begin, I'd like to introduce Patrick Donovan from Crown Council, who's here to help provide some details about the cell tower opportunity. I want to emphasize that what we're discussing tonight is just an opportunity. The board, the school board, and has not made any promises, they have not signed any contracts, and there has been no agreements with Crown Castle. This is just a presentation of an opportunity that Crown Castle would like to present to the board of trustees about building cell towers in Baton Elementary and here in the school. Patrick, thank you for joining us today, and
Thanks so much, I appreciate it. Just one minute.
Alright, so, I don't know if you can hear me, but, thanks for letting me speak today, and I'm sorry I can't be with you there, in person. I actually, came down with COVID yesterday, and I'm feeling fine, but took the COVID test, and, determined that I'm not able to leave my apartment right now, so, I'm gonna have to do this virtually, so I appreciate your patience if there's any, sort of tech delay or any sort of issues, with the connection here, but, as we had said, I represent Crown Castle. Crown Castle is a large owner of cell towers and wireless infrastructure in the United States. So they own about 40,000 cellular towers nationwide, and also a number of small cell installations, which are the mini cell towers that go on micropoles. So they're the largest cell tower companies in the country. So what they do is they own and operate the cell tower itself, and then the wireless carriers like AT&T, T-Mobile, they will come on and off the tower over the years as the market dictates their need for their services in a particular area. But this cell tower will be built and constructed in Illinois by Crown Castle. So Crown Castle, as part of their process, they are always looking for new opportunities to enhance coverage. In any given area, they have a national presence, so they're in pretty much every market in the country. So they've identified areas in the area where the coverage could be enhanced with additional towers in the area. So the two areas that they zeroed in on are the areas surrounding the area middle school and Banneker Elementary. So at this point, as Mr. White said, no agreement has been signed, and we haven't formally reached anything either way. But we would like to propose towers at these two schools. So these would be multiple cell towers over between 100 and 150 feet tall, depending on the location. They would be just your typical multiple cell towers that are found throughout the country and pretty much about 30 miles. Driving down the road, there's probably one of these towers in any suburban area. So these two areas in particular, identified as having a need. The new tower in the area would enhance the coverage for the school and then also the surrounding area. By putting a new tower in that area, they would free up, not only would it add new data coverage and capacity to that area, it would free up service, greater capacity on the existing towers that are there in that area already. So what you would see is an enhancement in the overall wireless coverage when you use either phone or internet wireless. Their data or voice in that area out there. So as I said, the two locations that we zeroed in on are Banneker Elementary and Barry Middle School. We confirmed there's a need in that out there. We would need an area of roughly 70 by 70 feet for the actual cell tower installations themselves. This will be fenced in, the tower will be centered. And as I said, the tower at Barry Middle School, the height would be between 120 and 150 feet, and at Banneker Elementary, it would be between 110 or 120 feet. Those are the kind of preliminary estimates for the tower height of those two locations. So, the on-pole would be just one single solid pole with the antenna at the top. And so other than that, we really wouldn't need much, from the land other than, you fence in that area, so we would have access directly onto it. So this would be a lease arrangement where Crown Castle would pay a monthly lease rate to the school district for a long-term lease. So then it would be a permanent location that we would be looking for. So typically, they look at 15-year leases, 50. So it's really a permanent location that they're looking for. Once we get this tower that they're on, it's a great way to just have a permanent way to add, 5 to 6 feet. This tower would be equipped to handle, all the upgrades over the years and future technologies as well. So, it would be a way to, enhance the coverage for schools in the surrounding area, and then also, obviously, generating opportunities for schools for the land that, otherwise might not be being utilized for anything particular. So, at this point, we are, at this point, is, we're ready for that, with signing leases, the school, where the school, they reach a decision, and then they like to move forward with those. And so, I see that there are two screen that's showing, kind of photos of what a typical model home installation would look like. So you can see it would be fenced in at the base, typically like 8-foot brick fence, landscaping around it to shield the base of the tower. Inside that fenced area would be put in a generator, the power tower, in case the networks go down, in the case of an emergency or something. And then the tower itself would be pretty much what we're looking at there. It would be pretty much the same, multiple cell towers. There's several multiple cell towers already within. There's a couple, I think, within a mile or so each already within the elementary area in the school, maybe 1 or 2 miles. So there's several out there already, and it would be pretty much doing the same thing. That would be similar to the towers that are in the area, in the rear area, and it would be a similar deal with that. So this is again, the advanced coverage in the area. Make sure there's 911 coverage, emergency services, and people use landlines less, that becomes more crucial to have good local coverage for the area out there. So good way to make coverage, and we are really generating an opportunity for schools, so that is our pitch, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you for the presentation, and I would like to go ahead and open it up to the board if there's any questions.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, please.
Mr. From Crown Castle, how close will those towers be located to the school, the actual school, or what is the distance in feet or?
Please, I can put that out here. We'll just pull on a map here. So after, and I would say there's flexibility in terms of hours placed on the property. So that you're looking at there is the location that Crown Castle has picked out, probably the best location for them. Like I say, typically we do it at 50 feet, 100 feet in either direction, and that's typically we're fine for us as well. So I was this location is at the area here. This one would be about 230 to 250 feet from the southern tip of the school. And then at Erie Middle School, and we school right here on the map. Let's see here. Erie Middle, it looks like it would be away from the school. That would be about 800 feet from the school. If we went to the one at Erie Middle, put it all the way to the east side, so about 800 feet.
Thank you.
I have just a quick question in regards to the lease rate, monthly rate, or annual rate. What is that? Is there a particular formula that allows you to come to that rate, or how, just making sure that those prices, those gallon amounts are competitive?
Sure, so what we do is we look at the market for cell towers in a general area. So if we're running 10 to 12 cell towers, we get an average monthly integrated with that. And then also looking at like property values and projected revenue from the tower. So that's integrated and calculated using, basically looking at the manufacturers, looking at the market average for towers in that area there. And then like in real estate, it's going to vary by location, and I'd say, typically kind of national averages 12 to 1,400 a month. That can go up in, really high value areas, it can go down in, the more rural, lower value areas. So it's just going to vary by location. But this area out here within calculated using the transfers from the house.
So you consider this to be your best final offer?
Yes. I would say that we could be open to further discussions there. I think at a certain point that you just had, Crown Castle, it has to make sense to their financial models. It can cost well over $1 million to put a tower into the ground. Between the construction costs and engineering costs, the bill, the legal work. So it's a significant investment up front. So I think that just be mindful of that. But I say it's, it would be still in this plan.
Are there any other questions for our guests?
Just have a quick question, since I'm not very familiar with cell tower installation, how does this benefit your company? You said it costs more than $1 million to put it in. What is the end benefit for you?
So Crown Castle, as the owner and operator of the tower, they have their own agreements with the wireless carriers that come on their towers. So they're getting paid by the wireless carriers for the use of the space on the tower. So the way they help Crown Castle is they, build and operate the tower, and then they have their customers basically are the wireless.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Just to add to it, generally what we see these days is things like Crown Castle, or the other main player in the industry is American Power, is the other sub-companies. Typically, those are the companies that are building and operating towers these days, instead of the wireless carriers themselves building their own cell towers, they have third-party companies like Crown Castle, they typically prefer to use space on top of someone else. They're in the cellular phone business, not the real estate business. So, they really need Crown Castle.
I have a question. Do you currently have cell towers at any of those school sites?
Yeah, we do them all the time at the school sites. Yeah, I don't know, I don't think you're necessarily, but just myself, I've done dozens, I've seen dozens of jewels over the years, and a lot of the Crown towers are on school properties. Generally, teachers are women, oftentimes schools are in the residential area where there's not good properties for cell tower company to go and build a tower on. So a lot of times, school properties are kind of an option in the beginning area, and the school districts are often happy to get the revenue, or otherwise then use land, and have a limit in that sense.
And how long does construction take? If they were to rebuild?
Typically 6 to 8 weeks, and that can depend on the season and, the particular areas of the land, given, build, probably a month or two.
I do have a couple questions. To follow what my colleague was asking, you stated that you are aware of other cell towers being around schools. Can you give a list of where those are and where they're located and what districts have supported that?
I can see it, I can put something together, and it's gotta be thousands of school districts, over the country that Crown Castle has to use. So I can just see, that information that we can get together.
One of the concerns for our community is the potential exposure from a health standpoint to you. Can you elaborate a little more on that?
Sure. So, what I can say is that this is the equipment on this tower, would comply with all the FCC regulations, just like any of the, 40,000 hours plus that Crown Castle has. And we similar, we identical technology to the same technology, so all the cell towers, even the 200 plus cell towers, 200,000 plus cell towers in the country. So this is what comply with all radiation standards of the FCC. Castle and wire carriers that operate the equipment have a whole department full of, engineers, ensuring that it's complies, with all the state ones that have been determined to stay. Other than that, I would refer to, given the health authorities that have studied this, many times over the years, and not, maybe we'll find any sort of, definitely, to sort of serious health outcomes. And then, where you get a lot more radiation from having cold in your pocket than you would from a cell tower that's a couple hundred feet away. So, just say that we're very, very careful to make sure that any equipment up on that tower or down the base is going to comply with all the federal regulations for radio frequency emissions.
Thank you. Just a couple other quick questions for me. In regards to this model cell tower installation, do you know if there's any examples of where you have this installed that are near a residential area that may be closer or further away from 200, 250 feet that you talked about, or the 800 feet for the other school? Or what's that normal distance?
Yeah, there's not really a set distance. There's really no safety concern. Having towers, proximity to make any residential to rural schools. So really, as far as the cell tower is concerned, everything goes as close as it needs to. I would say that generally, from a more from an aesthetics perspective, local zoning boards don't like towers that are generally like people's backyards. And that's more from an aesthetics perspective. Because, it's going to be very visible. If it goes up 100 feet in the air, so it's going to be something that's visible. I will say, as far as just right in that area there is just a little bit to the north of the two schools there. There's an existing tower. It's not a Crown Castle tower. It's a different height than those. It's right on Orange Street and looks like Marquette Drive. It's just probably 4 miles over the beach there. And that's a tower that it's not our tower, but that's a cell tower there right in that surrounding area. And that's about 100 feet away from the closest house. So this is the same technology, that's already on that tower there.
Well, I want to thank you for thanking the Gary Community Schools for bringing this presentation to us. I'm going to open the floor to the board. Personally, I would like to have an opportunity to digest some of the information that's shared with us today, and also give Crown Castle an opportunity to think about their best and final offer, so that maybe we can meet at the next meeting and have a vote on this matter.
And we can get the information, Mr. Chairman, relative to the school districts where there are towers.
Yes.
And Mr. Chair, regarding that school list, can you make sure it's a comparative list for an urban school district that's in comparison to the Gary Community School Corporation District, and not like a cell tower in a rural area?
Did you understand our request, sir?
I can see, what we can, come up with. Just to take a look at, similar suburban school districts, there's plenty of them out there, so I'll see, what I can fully
And I think Dr. Stokes had made a great observation. It really doesn't have to be a Crown Castle installation. It can be, like you referred to earlier today, with an installation that is close to the beach. We just want the technology and the awareness of what that technology is existing.
So
so for council, the tower cleaning, the owner and operator of the site, and then it'd be similar to any of the cell towers that are in the area. And that's again, that location that I mentioned, that is not a non-habitable tower, it's owned by a different company. And again, that's on Montgomery Street and Marquette Drive. And that's, there's an example, I can see, all the locations for cell towers in that area and like that. So I just wanted to point that out as an example of that's the existing tower that's in the residential area, and proximity to those schools already.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time. I can entertain a motion to table this item to our next meeting. Okay. Let's move on to item number 7.2. Dr. Stokes.
All right, thank you so much. So we are moving on to our first reading of the Area Community School Student Templates. And let me tell you why this is so important. We can pull those up, please. These are policies. There are actually 3 pages. Real quick, I'm just going to have us look at each page, but I do want to highlight 3 particular policies that I believe I need to share with the community so that we have some clear information. But I'm going to give the board, if you will, just a chance to look at the policies we sent you, and then I want to highlight 3. So then if you can move to our next set, please. And then if you will, our last set. So if you will move back to the first page, I'm going to talk about policy 5136, which deals with personal communication devices. I think there's a little bit of misinformation, and I try to be as clear as possible so that our community, our teachers and our students understand. When we talk about personal communication devices, we are essentially talking about what you might call computers or cell phones or things of that nature that our students utilize. There's a misunderstanding that you cannot use any of these devices in the school building at all. That is not true. Basically, what the Indiana Code set out to do was to basically protect instructional time. So students are prohibited from using a personal communication device during instructional time, except, here are the exceptions, except that a teacher may allow a student to use a personal communication device for educational purposes during instruction time, and we basically said we want our administrative approval, which basically means that it's in the teacher's lesson plans, and we know that they already plan and engage in activity whereby they might be using communication device or cell phone, something of that nature. The second exception is that a student may use a personal communication device to manage the student's health care in an event of an emergency, or the third is a student may use a personal communication device if the use of the device is included in the student's individualized education program or Section 504. I do want to go on to say that there were other provisions that the school had to decide, and we made a lot of those decisions based on our ability to support our students. For example, do we allow students to use them before school? Well, I don't know that we have the ability to say you can't, because we have 4,000 some students, so we mark yes. Then there was a question about them using them in the schoolhouse. Well, you can't use them in the classroom if we don't say we can use them in the schoolhouse. So there were things like that. Can they use them at lunchtime? We don't have the ability to monitor, and we have to inspect what we expect. We have to choose what we want to support in terms of a cell phone license. We're not going to tell students during lunch that you can't use your cell phone. So those were the types of choices we had, but I did want to bring clarity around the fact that students can use their cell phones in the schoolhouse, but we're trying to inspect what we expect and give them guidance around using them.
we typically just want to protect instructional time, and we want to make sure that these devices are not used in a malicious way that causes disruptions in our school environment. So I wanted to clarify that. The other policy that I wanted to talk about for just a minute is policy 5223 and actually 5200 also. They're kind of similar but yet different. 5200 basically is the attendance policy. So it's talking about our students coming to school and some of the new laws that regulate what happens when you don't come to school. For example, if you miss 5 days consecutively, there are some rules around us having to have meetings with the families. And so we've been encouraging students to make sure that they attend school. But 5223, I want to hone in because that is new for us as a community, and I already have questions. 5223 deals with release time for religious instruction. So let me talk about that for a minute. Basically, upon signing written request of a student's parent, the board will allow the exception to our students' continuous attendance at schools for religious instruction outside the school building for no more than 120 minutes a week. So essentially, a student could leave our facility to go for religious purposes up to 125 minutes a week. What I want to say is, while that is possible, we want to encourage our parents to think wisely. We will not okay students leaving during core instructional time, such as reading, math. We can't have them leave because that devalues what we are here for, teaching and learning as a school, right? So we want to support our parents, and we have to follow the law, but you can leave for up to 120 minutes, but we need it to be strategic times that don't interfere with our instruction. With that being said, we also understand that it is important for students to be able to earn credits, and they can earn a credit given that they're at a religious instruction that has met certain guidelines with regards to instructional time, making sure that they have a syllabus, making sure that the methods for assessment are used in their course offerings, and making sure that they're taught by some type of licensed instructor. So I just wanted to clarify that particular policy because I've had questions around release time for religious instruction. And the last one that I want to talk about is policy 5340.01. So I'll go there, and that deals with student concussions and sudden cardiac arrest. Our athletic director would normally be here, unfortunately he's not able to be here tonight, so I'll speak briefly. In a nutshell, what we are saying here is, parents, we know that you have the best intentions for your children, and we know that you are your children's first educators. However, because we as a school district have to err on the safety of our children, we will not allow just the word of a parent when a child has had a concussion. We have to have a written note from the doctor and from the parent, not just the parent. So this is a change that allows your child to be able to get back out, for example, on that football field. So we just want you to understand that we are erring on the safety of our children. So those are just 3 things that I know are slightly different from maybe some past practices that we wanted you to understand the why behind. And with that, that's all I have to share.
Thank you. I'd like to move on our agenda to item number 8. I believe this is a facility report for Chief Operating Officer. Ms. Coran, Director of Facilities. Thank you for being here. Is that green light? Can you push that light button?
Try now. Okay. Good evening, Gary Community School Board members, Dr. Stokes, Gary Community. My name is Corinne Munch, and I'm proud to serve as your Facilities Director. Wanted to share with you this presentation tonight. The first being the LED lighting upgrades throughout the district. Our return on investment is 85% over 1.4 years. We're also eliminating 3.7 million pounds of CO2 per year, which is the equivalent of of taking over 365 vehicles off the road per year. We have a 10-year warranty on all the lights that they provided. In particular, our JVH units were brand new, so hopefully you're not going to see them. Second slide, we are paving resurfacing that we did. You see in the top, we did west side front pavement, which was removed and replaced. The trees are gone. The circle around the trees is gone, and we have a clean and safe new look. Beverage on the bottom has had both parking lots repaved, and all the potholes are gone. So everyone is pretty happy over there. The third slide would be the west side science room. We had 7 rooms done. We removed the old furniture and some of the gas burners that were in there. We abated the asbestos flooring that was in there. We added new counters, new furniture in most of the classrooms, and we added new tile and a new coat base. McCullough, we redid all of their controls. So last year we lost our ability to control the zones within the school. The air was either on or off. It was creating a really unbalanced building. So we put controls in every classroom. We can now maintain the temperatures as requested. The new control will save us a considerable amount of energy and in turn a huge cost savings for us. It's quite a project. It was difficult to accomplish over one summer because it was so time consuming. The fifth part would be Norton's demolition. We have removed all the trees around the building. We've added fencing. We are waiting for approval from the state. We just got the approval from the city today. For the state before they can fully begin the demo process. We anticipate starting over the next couple of weeks. And I know many of the people in the new area are really happy to see that building come up. Last slide, the one I'm most proud of, may seem like something small. But these are small projects, this is what the maintenance team has done. And I want to highlight all of them, but I can only kind of cover a few here. And if you can tell this room, like we're in this room at your as well, you'll see some carpeting in the back too, if you didn't notice that. But we've taken on quite a few projects over the summer, and we replaced all the code base on the second floor of the high school. As you can see, the top picture and bottom picture makes a big difference. It's a small thing, but it makes a big difference. We painted all around the districts, including here, including outside. We redid the lighting, and we painted these new pictures here. These are not yet up, they're getting painted. I'm extremely proud of my team. I'm proud to be a part of what I consider the best team. And any questions?
Thank you for the update. I really appreciate the visuals that you share. I'd like to move to item number 9 on our agenda. Board reports, individual board members. If you have something you would like to share, now's the afternoon.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
I just wanted to share that last Thursday, we had a very productive policy committee meeting, and Dr. Stokes just reiterated some of the things that were discussed, but we went through each one of those policies that were listed, and I'd just like to remind you that much of it is very descriptive, because the state dictates guidelines by which you must operate. Where there was an ability to be flexible, and I think that the team chose very good items or areas where they could exercise some flexibility and still maintain the integrity of what is being done here at the schools and how we educate and serve our students.
Dr. Lewis, thank you for your leadership as our policy committee chair and the support that you've given the board in that capacity.
Thank you. Mr. Chair?
Yes, please.
Condolences to the family of Clarence Bush and his father and the immediate family, and definitely all of the Williams school family. I definitely remember him, great person. It's hard for everyone, so we just continue to pray and lift up the school and the family, and especially the granddaughter that was saved in the incident. Dr. Stokes and her team, congratulations for making an immediate solution for Banneker students to have school here at the Gary Area Prison. I came over and checked them out, and they were excited. I don't know how you did that. You must have had your team stay all night. They had area section off. I think the students felt like they were at a big school. They were excited. They were learning. The teachers also were able to turn on the dime to make sure that those students were engaged. They had smart boards all up in there, so I think they want to stay here. I know that. Yeah, but they were excited about coming. And Dr. Stokes, again, I know that you must have stayed here all night with your team to make that happen in 24 hours. And last but not least, congratulations to Williams School and Principal Linda Golson for the bike ride. Now, do you get up every morning and do this? Is this every day students ride to school? Yes. Yes? What time? I'm sorry, Jill. What time is it in the morning? And it's the right there behind you. What do you do with the bikes when they ride to the school? And do you have security as you are traveling with the students?
Not necessarily security, but I have staff. I have 4 parents who ride bicycles. The remaining parents, they trail us, so they help ride off traffic and things like that to get to the school center.
Thank you again. That's wonderful.
Thank you. Any other board observations? I would like to encourage the group here to support our football team this Friday night. We have a game at Westside against the team in East Chicago, so I'd like to cheer our team's victory. We know we want to beat that team in West Gary.
So I definitely need us to show up because the superintendent called me and he wanted a wager. And I told him I didn't know the Lord let me do his wager. He said that if they beat us, I have to wear their logo in a picture with him. And that if we beat them, he wears our logo and a picture with me.
Well, let's encourage our team so the superintendent won't have to dress down. Let's move on the agenda to item number 10, superintendent report, please.
Thank you. So as always, I like to share what I call matters of corporation interest. And with that being said, I want to talk a little bit about I Read. And I'm going to read straight from the Indiana Department of Education. The Indiana Reading Evaluation and Determination, otherwise known as I Read, is a reading assessment developed in accordance with state legislation. I-Read is designated to measure foundational reading skills based on Indiana academic standards. And here's what's important. Through grade 3, there's a misconception that this is only a 3rd grade assessment. This is assessing foundational skills technically from pre-K through 3rd grade. And so as such, we will hold all of the teachers accountable to make sure that we are teaching our students how to read in all of those grades. With that being said, there is some new guidance, as many of you are aware. When students don't pass the I Read assessment in grade 3, 2 things happen. One is they have to go to quote-unquote summer school, if you will, to have a second opportunity to learn and to master that assessment. If they don't master that assessment, there are certain things that we have to make decisions regarding as to whether or not we will make a promotion to the next grade level. So you see how important this is. There are some things that we're going to try to do to support families around literacy. I know you've heard the term the science of reading. So there are some things that we are doing to make sure we support our students. With that being said, I want to direct your attention to the screen. This data is no longer in barcode. So with that being said, you see basically 2019, of course 2020 was around the COVID era, and so 2021 through 2024, and this is just a trend. Gary is in the orange and the state is in the blue, and as you see, we dipped a little bit and we're making our way back up. And on this next slide, this is basically our elementary schools, and each bar, different color, represents a particular year. So I'll just give you a second to look at that. I will show another slide that kind of breaks this all down. So just kind of look at the graph heights, if you will, at this point, and you can see how schools are doing. And so on our next slide, I want to look at you with the numbers. I do want to give a shout out, Miss Chelsea. Come up and talk about one of our schools real quick. I'm going to save it for you because there's a lot to talk about. All of our schools, as you can see, I don't want to leave any school out. In 2024, they've done a great job with different cohorts. Even if you see that a school goes back a little bit, understand that these are different students. So it's a different group of students coming in with different needs, and our goal is to make sure we meet all of those needs. But I do want Ms. Whittington to talk a little bit about one of our particular schools.
And that one particular school is Banker at Marquette at 65.4%. That's up 20 points from last year. As soon as the test scores became unembargoed, the media started to reach out about what we are doing, and you will hear more about the science of reading and program material. And you can also recall that we were here this time last year questioning whether or not material would be effective. That's our online tutoring program where students were able to interact online with live tutors. And in addition to, of course, their in-classroom instruction. And so as I spoke with Principal Shaker Wade over the past couple of days, he said, what did you do? Those bumps to the top. And we also were saying that we're just getting started.
So many of you know, literacy is one of my passions. I believe we have to teach our children how to read. We know that that's a gatekeeper. So we have to make sure that our children know how to read. With that being said, I do want to move on into district attendance. So I know it's near and dear to my heart and the board as well that we keep our little darlings in our school district. So one way to keep them in our school district and to make sure that they're learning is for them to be here. So we want to talk a little bit about what we've done. I've given you 3 snapshots in time. The first day of school, the 23rd of August, and then yesterday, the 27th of August. And basically, for each school, what I'm trying to show you is how many students were enrolled on those particular days, what the daily attendance was, and then what's important to me, as a building, what percentage was for students in attendance. We see some areas where we may need to improve a lot more, and we see some areas where we're heading toward the target of 100%. What I do also want to remind you of is that the Gary Area Career Center, when we look there, for example, on August 23rd, we see 167 in parentheses. That number represents our students, Gary Westside students. However, when you include the non-public schools, there's a total of 274. So I want you to understand those numbers. The other thing that I want you to focus on, I want to talk a little bit about what we've done differently. My board president asked me, what have we done differently than last year? So one thing that we've done differently is we have a new student support department. And essentially what that department has been doing, along with support from our FACES department and our schools, they're just not making phone calls to find out where children are. I always say boots to the ground. So we have in that department 3 leaders, and what they're doing is they are going out, boots to the ground, in the community. They're safe, of course. They will take a resource officer with them if they need to. They're going out, boots to the ground. They are literally going house to house where students have enrolled. This is students who already say they belong to our wonderful Gary family. They're going out to find out and to support parents and help get our students, getting our students in school. We know how important it is to be here. They're giving that message. So if you look at the very bottom, you will see district totals. You see that on the 14th, we started out with about 4,096 students enrolled. But look at how many showed up. Just under 3,000. Not acceptable for us. That's 72%. But you will see on the 23rd, we moved the enrollment number up to 4321, and also our daily attendance rate went up to 3526, 82%. And if you look, yesterday we had just under 4,400 students enrolled, and today I can tell you when I was over here with Banker, I know we had 3 or 4 more show up that were new. And we have 82%. We want 100%, but we're moving in the right direction, and we want to thank all of our community members who heard our call and know that it's important for students to be in school. So with that, I think that deserves a shout. I want to move to our pivot. Go to our next slide, please. This is Banner today here at the Career Center. So I'm going to have Crystal silence the volume for just a moment. And what I want to tell you is that in this left corner here, we try to show you a picture of how we worked. Thank you, Dr. McLeod. A team of us worked tirelessly, and that team consisted of probably every department in Gary Community Schools, from technology to maintenance to our security support to teaching and learning, just every department that you can think of. I don't want to miss anybody. But what I will tell you is that we put a plan together. We came together yesterday at 9 o'clock, and I pulled my team together, and we came up with a plan, and we left out, and everybody knew what their responsibility was, and we took that plan seriously, and we basically staged the schoolhouse in the room over here. And then today, of course, we all met here. We had transportation, pick up our walkers, pick all our students up, and this is our students entering. So what you saw was the students entering. Then these are other pictures about things that just went on during the course of the day. I do want to say that we will, unfortunately, maybe for the kids, fortunately, but we will unfortunately have to be here again tomorrow and maybe through the rest of the week. We still don't have our children up and running where we need them to run. We have a message to our community and our families that our students will be here again tomorrow. So we thank our teachers, our staff, our community, our parents, and most importantly, our students for a wonderful day.
Thank you, Dr. Stokes. At this point, I'd like to move on to item 11. And open the floor for.
That's my fault. I apologize. We wanted to look at our proposed draft agenda for our next meeting. Our very great snapshot will deal with the new phonics curriculum, which I think is timely because we've been talking about iRead, we've been talking about just supporting our students and nurses, so that will be timely. Some of the other things are pretty routine. We will be bringing back the cell towers for consideration by the board. And we will have a second reading of our student pretty standard.
Thank you. I'd like to remind the community that is here that we've asked you to make sure your comments are focused on the agenda. So this is an opportunity for you to have a look at our next meeting's agenda and see those items that you would like to speak to. We urge you loud and clear that you wanted to know ahead of time what would we talk about. So this is that opportunity. Thank you. Item 10 on our agenda. Can I have a motion? Second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for your attendance. Appreciate you being here.